Hey there, Riverica here, reporting for duty on a trigger. Thank you so much for shuffling states of emergency into adoption spirit with me and steering clear of danger. Heartily, we are grateful. In this session, we are seeing what the Sun in Aquarius squaring Uranus in Taurus at 15 degrees has to tell us. Yep, that's right. But before we do that, some disclaimers. I am not a doctor, a lawyer, a therapist. I am a fortune teller. So what I offer is no substitute for their services. Furthermore, what I share does not determine your future. Only your intentions and actions do. So please use your gift of discernment before deciding what to gather and take away. And of course, take only what resonates and blow like a kiss the rest back to the universe for cosmic composting into beauty. Heartily, we are grateful. And we are doing this for shits and giggles, fun and games, entertainment, flexing our heart, our spirit, our soul, our intuition. And at the least, we hope to cause harm to none, and at the most, maybe we can assist you a little bit, playing through your losses and traumas to adopt success. So, that being said, I shall introduce our helpers. I have lit candles for Source, for Mother Earth, Father Sky, for the homeless, those that kick them out of their homes, the neighbors, the passers-by, even those working against our spiritual progression. I have also lit candles for harmony, unity, and balance, for Archangel Anil, the Archangel of Friday, for our ancestors here in the highest love and light, and for those who have crossed over to Father Sky by suicide and their family and friends that they left behind on Mother Earth, as well as the war-torn families, nations, and galaxies. And we thank Source for helping us all adopt success, transmuting these violent cycles into love. Heartily, we are grateful. I also have my crystal ball helping, and my wooden dice and wooden dagger wand and my other wooden wand. And maybe you've heard me mention how wood buoys your spirits, and of course it has other metaphysical properties. I invite you to investigate on your own 4 or 5 or 6 different sites to check the metaphysical properties of all the tools that I'm sharing. And in this reading, we have citrine quartz, citrine crystal, associated with the Manipura chakra and willpower and so much more. It's such a beautiful crystal. So we have citrine in honor of the sun, the beautiful yellow color, and on each of the decks of cards. And this is the Paragrams by Paramahansa Yogananda. Maybe some of you are familiar with his Self-Realization Fellowship and the Autobiography of a Yogi. And you can find them online, and maybe you can find a copy of your own for free for the Autobiography of a Yogi. And maybe you can procure your own set of paragrams. If we read from them today, if they're chosen, I am prohibited from writing them in the transcription and the closed captioning. So I invite you to procure your own copy. And then we have the Tree Angel Oracle, The Ancient Path into the Sacred Grove by Fred Hageneder and An Heng, illustrated by An Heng. And this is the citrine that accompanies that. lovely beach stone, citrine. And then we have the Sacred Geometry Activation Oracle by Lon. And here is the citrine point that accompanies that. And then we have the Cosmic Dancer Oracle by Sedona Soulfire and Tess Whitehurst. And the citrine quartz that accompanies that. Apologize for the focus. And then we have the Cali Oracle by Alana Fairchild, illustrated by Jimmy Morton. And the citrine point that accompanies that. And then we have the Living Altar, an oracle and spell deck for the Radical Witch by Kiki Robinson and Ilva Droma Marzana Radzisuski. And here is the citrine that accompanies that. Lovely. So we are going to roll the dice. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to roll the dice. Oh, before we do that, I would enjoy clearing the space with you, which I cleared the space before I begin. But now you may help me. And hold the intention of love, and only love we shall see. Heartily, we are grateful. I've been doing the bell and the bell mantra, but in this reading, in the Venus reading for February 4th, I decided to do something a little different. So tell me if you're missing the bell. In the comment section. Or if you appreciate the sage. Thank you. Alrighty. So let's roll the dice. And thank you, Source and Spirit teams, for guiding this reading in the highest love and light about what the Sun in Aquarius, squaring Uranus in Taurus at 15 degrees, has to tell us in the highest love and light about how to move forward, minding our business in the highest love and light. Heartily, we are grateful. That's hilarious. Because the number 6 came up, and that was in the Venus reading for the same day, February 4th. These two planetary actions are happening on the same day, and the pulled from the same deck, the living altar. So again, here's that citrine that accompanied the living altar deck by Kiki Robinson and Ilvadrama Marzana Radziszewski. And this is one of the only Romani decks in circulation, so I'm thrilled to have it in my hands. So let's see. You are a whole, full, powerful, loving, spiritual being, and so am I. We thank your source, spirit team, angels, galaxy guides, ancestors, saints and sages, gods and goddesses, universes here in the highest love and light, as well as mine. And we thank your source and my source for immediately shifting the situation into what it needs to be, offering necessary insights, healings, acts of grace, and protection. Heartily, we are grateful. And so it was. So what does the sun in Aquarius squaring Uranus and Taurus at 15 degrees want to say to us? Thank you so much for guiding this reading in the highest love and light. Heartily, we are grateful. Okay. Too many. And I'm being guided to cut the deck. So cut the deck I shall. Thank you. And on the bottom, we have this beautiful card. Let me put that on a stand so I can share with you what this is all about. And to learn more about this deck of cards, you can tune into Altars Up, which is podcast by Kiki and Ilva. You can also listen to the Romanistan podcast by Paulina Verminsky and Jasmina. I apologize, I'm mixing up her names because that happens sometimes. So please forgive me. I'll leave the names in the description. And this is one of the spell cards that has to do with the moon, which is most excellent because this reading on February 4th, for February 4th, is also influenced by the moon, the full moon on February 5th. So that's super sweet. So you can vibe on that. And see what comes up for you about that moon. And then on the top, we have boundaries. Very interesting. You know, the moon moves quick. It's in each zodiac sign for a day or two within each month, and it affects the tides daily, and so that's making me think of these boundaries and how our boundaries, we're reminded to take care of our boundaries. And orphans and adoptees especially have experienced issues with their boundaries from the beginning. Their boundaries were violated. They didn't have any say in the matter of being orphaned, being relinquished, being fostered, experiencing what guardians are like, or adoptive families being adopted, and all the different things that happen in all of those instances, and how their narrative is taken away, and how often what is happening with the orphan and the adoptee is more about their parents than them. And what I mean by that is people often adopt animals, babies, cultures, lands to overcome their own loss and trauma, more so than to help the animal, baby, culture, or land that they're adopting. And of course, people have these wonderful intentions, but the way the reality plays out often is much different than that. And if you're adopting an animal or a baby to overcome your own loss, that's putting a lot of weight and pressure on that animal and baby to meet your needs. And is that really fair? Is that really equitable? And what might we be able to do in the future to make these social contracts more equitable and more fair and more tolerant, to where the orphan and the adoptee have an equal say in the matter, and the people who are called to adopt are doing it more to help the animal, baby, culture, and land they adopt than they are to overcome their own losses. Then meaning that they've healed through their own losses, or they're willing to heal through their own losses along with the orphan and adoptee. That is key for transmuting violent cycles into love and adopting success for one and all. I sense deeply from the experiences I've had and the work that I've done. So boundaries. Let's see what boundaries has to say. And there's 3 parts: the witch's wheel correspondence, the spell, and the guiding message. And you may enjoy creating your own witch's wheel to enhance these readings. And the spell I'll read 4 times, and then the guiding message I'll close up with. So the witch's wheel correspondence with this boundaries card is winter, north, earth, elderhood, death, soul harvest, solitude, midnight, balsamic moon, and new moon. New moon. And what's jumping out at me right now is elderhood. That came up in the other February 4th reading, so you might enjoy checking that out. And I think soul and harvest are separate, and I read them like they're together, but they might be together. So just see how that feels for you. And let's see, the spell. I'm going to read this 4 times, so I'll let you know each time I'm starting anew. Here we go. I'm sinking into my foundation as an invitation to safety within myself. My values are illuminated when I prioritize the honest exploration of the most sacred terrains within myself. Without judgment, I allow yes to reveal itself to my bones. Without restraint, I allow no to reveal itself to my body. My boundaries are rooted in self-love, self-honor, self-respect. My boundaries are not about anyone other than myself. When I uphold my boundaries, the most tender parts of myself open their hearts to my embrace. Boundaries are a radical act of self-trust. Boundaries are a compassionate invitation for consensual and respectful connection. They grant me access to myself while providing clear and principled guidelines for relationship with self and others. So here's the second reading. I'm sinking into my foundation as an invitation to safety within myself. My values are illuminated when I prioritize the honest exploration of the most sacred terrains within myself. Without judgment, I allow yes to reveal itself to my bones. Without restraint, I allow no to reveal itself to my body. My boundaries are rooted in self-love, self-honor, self-respect. My boundaries are not about anyone other than myself. When I uphold my boundaries, the most tender parts of myself open their hearts to my embrace. Boundaries are a radical act of self-trust. Boundaries are a compassionate invitation for the consensual and respectful connection. They grant me access to myself while providing clear and principled guidelines for relationship with self and others. Here's the third reading of the spell of boundaries. I'm sinking into my foundation as an invitation to safety within myself. My values are illuminated when I prioritize the honest exploration of the most sacred terrains within myself. Without judgment, I allow yes to reveal itself to my bones. Without restraint, I allow no to reveal itself to my body. My boundaries are rooted in self-love, self-honor, self-respect. My boundaries are not about anyone other than myself. When I uphold my boundaries, the most tender parts of myself open their hearts to my embrace. Boundaries are a radical act of self-trust. Boundaries are a compassionate invitation for consensual and respectful connection. They grant me access to myself while providing clear and principled guidelines for relationship with self and others. And here is the fourth reading for the spell. I'm sinking into my foundation as an invitation to safety within myself. My values are illuminated when I prioritize the honest exploration of the most sacred terrains within myself. Without judgment, I allow yes to reveal itself to my bones. Without restraint, I allow no to reveal itself to my body. My boundaries are rooted in self-love, self-honor, self-respect. My boundaries are not about anyone other than myself. When I uphold my boundaries, the most tender parts of myself open their hearts to my embrace. Boundaries are a radical act of self-trust. Boundaries are a compassionate invitation for consensual and respectful connection. They grant me access to myself while providing clear and principled guidelines for relationship with self and others. That's intense. I had my hand over my heart for that full reading. Boundaries are real. And especially with orphans and adoptees, this reestablishing, obviously for everyone, there's a point where we need to really understand what our boundaries are. But for the orphan and the adoptee, it can be really confusing because we're told one thing for so long that isn't necessarily true. And so to reconfigure what the boundaries mean to us and stepping out of the fog, stepping out of the adoption fairy tales and starting to dismantle the adoption fairy tales. And some of us, in order to establish healthy boundaries, have danced away from our adoptive families. And some of us who have reconnected with our birth families have again danced away from them. I guess the first time it wasn't a dance, it was more of a fall. And that is radical. That's some radical self-trust. We love all these people. We love our birth family and maternal birth family. We love our paternal birth families. We love our adoptive families. And in our heart of hearts, we really would love for it to work out in the highest love and light for all, for us all to adopt success. But sometimes that's just not possible in the moment. And we need to find our own safety and to find our own path, because what's happening in those other families is not, I'm trying to say this without judgment, and just everybody has their own plight, and what is working for the birth families that have caused them to be in a position of relinquishing a child, and what's happened in the adoptive families to cause them to be in a position of wanting to adopt a child, often is more about the parents than the child. And so recreating new boundaries can be essential for some orphans and adoptees. And free will comes into play, of course, but is your will really free when there's so much loss and trauma? In my experience, I've seen that loss and trauma obstructs free will from developing academically, linguistically, and culturally. For example, students who are without shelter or aren't getting their nourishment are challenged in the classroom. The math facts aren't so important. The history facts aren't so important, and they may experience failures because of that. And it's not because they aren't capable of learning, it's because they are more concerned about surviving at the moment, that learning doesn't matter. And if you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, for example, it's a pyramid, and it shows on the bottom of the pyramid is your basic needs, and at the top of the pyramid is when you've achieved self-realization. Remember Paramahansa's self-realization fellowship? That's a sidebar. But back to that pyramid, that Maslow's hierarchy of needs, learning isn't at the foundation. That's where the basic needs are. Learning, the need to know, learning, education, that need to know is almost at the top of the pyramid. So, in other words, there's a lot that needs to be put into place, into the foundation, before a person can learn the things that they want to learn, before a person's will is really free to make a choice to do the things that that person really wants to do, needs to do, desires to do. And so this boundary cards is a beautiful reminder that if you have found that safe space for yourself and you have established that foundation, finally, you've secured your shelter, you've secured your meals, you have the love and self-acceptance and those basic level needs. And I urge you to look at Maslow's hierarchies of needs, 4 or 5 or 6 different versions, and create your own so you can understand what I'm talking about and apply it to your life to help you play through these losses and traumas. If you've secured enough of those lower parts of the pyramid, then you are able to reestablish your boundaries in a way that is healthy for you, in a way where you can live happy and healthy and make your dreams come true and move from that crisis and diaspora and surviving and thriving to pilgrimage and dreams coming true. So what a beautiful, beautiful card for the sun in Aquarius squaring Uranus and Taurus at 15 degrees. That Taurus is an earth sign. It's really helping us ground our reality into this earth, and Uranus is one of those outer planets, so it's really challenging us to liberate ourselves from these old constraints, these old limitations, these old fairy tales that maybe don't fit anymore, and maybe they never fit. So all that being said, we shall wrap up with a guiding message, the guiding messages from the living altar. What does the earth of earth hold for you at this time? Bring this situation to the altar of boundary. What wisdom is alchemizing within you? Yeah, so a lot to consider, especially after the past couple years, everything that we've been going through and reestablishing boundaries and the 6 feet. And some people, myself included, would say that orphaning and adoption is the original social distancing. And what this past couple of years has done for all of us has made us reconsider what is safe for us, what is sound for us, what makes us happy, how do we want to live our life on the daily, how do we want to maintain our health and happiness and our safety and our soundness. And so now this sun in Aquarius is really shedding a spotlight on that and saying, hey, you got it yet? You got your things in line? Are you ready to ground it in this new earth and close down this old chapter, this old earth? And that's super exciting. And so that is all I am seeing for you in this reading. Thank you so much for breathing life into adoption spirit magic with me. Heartily, we are grateful. Until next time, ciao for now. I love you all.